I bet you are very familiar with the word motivation. A lot of people are out here, they call themselves motivational speakers. We listen to all kind of motivational talks, and there are even preachers that are more motivational speakers than they are preachers. I want to tell you a difference today about the difference between motivation and inspiration, because I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm an inspirational messenger, and I intend to inspire you, not to motivate you. Motivation, people think is good because people seem to get results from motivation. But we need to know the difference between the two. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'm sure you will gain some great insight. And if you're already a follower or subscriber, I want you to come again, and share this video with somebody that needs to hear this. And if you're new here, subscribe or follow. If you're on Facebook, follow. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. But I want you to get this message that I have today on the inside of you. This is what motivation looks like if you were to illustrate it. This is motivation. Let's pay attention to this picture here. In motivation, you have what we call the stick and the carrot. People are motivated by greed or by fear. People are motivated by greed or by fear. Let's look at it again. This is an image of motivation. We're motivated by desire, or we're motivated by what we don't desire. So people use this tactic, the carrot and the stick, to get you to do the things they want you to do or the things that you should do. We'll see motivation everywhere. We'll see it in on your job. You get a raise or you get laid off. You get a promotion or you get a pink slip. You'll see it in church. You get heaven or you get hell. People preach, oh, God is just this big Valentine. He's just all love. And a lot of people flock to those types of people that teach that. You get people that teach fire and brimstone. God is going to destroy the world and sin and death. And a lot of people flock to that because this is what motivation is. Inspiration is totally different. Before we get too heavy into what they are, let's look at the basic definitions of inspiration and not inspiration. Let's look at the definition of motivation. Now, motivation refers to a process of inducing and stimulating an individual to act in a certain manner. Motivation happens from the outside. It happens from the outside. We're also familiar with motivation. People say, what I'm going to do, I'm going to work out because summertime come. So I'm going to work out, and they got an image of themselves looking all good and looking good in their bikini or looking good in their muscle shirt, for the summer. So that's their reward. That's the carrot. And they also have the image they're looking at themselves in the mirror where they're all out of shape. And that is the stick. You either got this or that. This or that, this or that, carrot, stick, carrot, stick, carrot, stick. And people, we're driven all the time by motivation. Motivation don't seem to always be a bad thing, but motivation always happens from the outside. So I'm not saying that all motivation is bad, but what I am saying is there's a difference between motivation and inspiration. Now, let's use a biblical account of motivation. And we'll tie inspiration into it. A biblical account of motivation was like with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They told him, if you don't bow down. The king said, if you don't bow down, and to him, that he was going to throw them into a fiery furnace. You live if you bow down. You die a horrible death in a fiery furnace if you don't bow down. The definition of inspiration. Inspiration sparks desires in us to pursue something. Inspiration sparks a desire on the inside of us to pursue something. Now, here's an interesting fact about inspiration. It's from the Old English inspirer, or from Latin inspire, breathe or to blow into. So the etymology of inspiration, it means to breathe or blow into. That's exactly what God did to man. He breathed into man and made him a living soul. God didn't just beat man or promise man something to make him a living being. He breathed into him. That's why they say the scriptures are inspired. They're inspired. God breathed into men that wrote it. So inspiration is a little different than motivation. Matter of fact, it's not a little different. It's a lot different, because inspiration, it causes something to happen from the inside. Motivation is all coming from the outside and is driven by fear or greed. Inspiration is not driven by that. So let's go back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They said, we are not going to bow down to you. But we know our God is able to deliver us. Now, some people think that's the carrot, because that's a reward. He can deliver us. But they said, but even if he don't, we will not bow down. Their movements, the things that they did, were not motivated by what they were going to receive or what was going to be inflicted upon them. They were inspired to see it out because they believed in what they believed, and they were not going to be moved by motivation. They were going to be moved because they were already inspired. They knew what they knew in the places that they know what they know. The Bible talks about God. The Bible says that God said, if a man wants to come to him, he must first believe that he is, and he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Now, notice something amazing here. People say, well, there's the carrot again, that he's a rewarder. We're going to get that reward. We're going after greed. But notice what you didn't hear. You didn't hear about the stick. We want to come to God because he's God, because he's great, he's good, he's worthy. And so regardless of what the other thing is, that's not going to inspire you to live for God. A lot of people live through motivation. And what happens, I'll tell you a trick. What happens a lot of times when they are motivated, they'll start something because they figure, if I start this business, I'm going to make a whole lot of money. I start this YouTube channel. I start this journey I'm going to go on for losing weight or whatever. And I got this picture. I'm motivated. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be successful. And they start and they see this picture, this carrot, and they're chasing this carrot. They never seem like they can't get close enough to that carrot. I don't care how far they walk, how fast they run, no matter what they do, they can't get close enough to that carrot, and then they get disappointed and life start whooping on their tail. If they try to start a business, then all the bills start coming in and beating them like it's the stick. So they figure, well, I better get out of this business and go back to my old job. I try to live for God, and I thought everything was going to be perfect. I'm a child of the King. God going to give me everything I want. God's my genie. God is going to just bless me with everything I want. And when we start having hard times, because persecutions come or because hard times come, the trial of your faith come, we say, that's the stick. I'm motivated to leave my pursuit of God because this ain't working. But that's the trick. That's the trick. Because if we always run from pain, we can be in a situation that's good for us, and that pain will produce something from you. You can be sore from lifting weights, and you're going to be in pain, but that pain is going to produce something for you. But if you're used to running from pain, you're not going to show back up to work out again. If you're used to running from pain, every time you have a situation, you're not going to keep walking with God. If you're running from pain, every time you have a setback in your business, you're not going to continue in business. Because we're used to being motivated. We want to run to the thing that rewards us, and many times the things that reward us are bad. Candy tastes good. Cake tastes good. But it's not necessarily good for us. That's how we can be tricked through motivation. Everything that looks good or everything that we want in our lives and that's look good for our consumption, our greed is not always good for us. And our pain and our traumas and things that we go through are not always bad for us. So, but if we take on the mindset of motivation, we think that everything that's bad is happening to us is caused me to run from it, and everything that's good happening to me, it caused me to run to it. Then we're going to be mistaken. That's why I hear a lot of people live like hell. And if they get some money or something good happen to them, they think that's God that's blessing them. It's people that do all kinds of crime and think that that's the blessing of God. But it's not. And then when it all comes crumbling down, they think God has forsaken them. Now, this lesson wasn't about God, really, so to speak. It was just about inspiration and motivation. I just want you to realize when people are talking to you, start paying attention. Are people using motivation to get you to do something? Do they always put an if and an or? Do they always tell you, if you love me, you give me some? We know how that works when the guy trying to talk to a woman. If you love me, you give me some. Or sometimes today, these women probably say that to the guys. That's how motivation is used. We're not talking about the carrot and the stick. We're not talking about this image right here. This is how you can be manipulated and controlled very easily with the carrot and the stick. Now, I'm not saying there's not consequences in life, and I'm not saying that there are not rewards in life. But what I am saying is that at its best is just motivation. It's a lot of people, they knew that they would not live if they went a certain route. Martin Luther King said, he said, I might not get there with you, but we as a people, we'll get there. Some people know they put themselves in danger, but the outcome of what they want is greater than the threats of motivation. They've been inspired to go on. The book of Hebrews talk about the people we call the Hall of Faith instead of Hall of Fame, Hall of Faith. All those people died without ever really receiving the promise, but they were counted as righteous because they believed God. They had faith. This has nothing to do with the carrot or the stick. Inspiration has nothing to do with it. 50 Cent said, get rich or die trying. When I used to hear that, I thought he was saying he's going to do something bad, even if, he'll die trying to get rich. No, what he was saying was that he intended to get rich. And if he didn't get rich the day he died, he was still going to be trying. That guy was inspired. I'm not a motivational teacher. I'm an inspirational messenger. I hope something that I say, something I said today, something I said yesterday, and something that I will say in the future will inspire you. Don't just be motivated. And don't just motivate others. Let's get inspired. Inspired by God. Inspired by life. Inspired by other people that are living and doing the things that you want to do. Inspired by doing what's right, even in a wrong generation, even in a wrong world. Inspired to do what's good, even in a bad world. Inspiration is the word for the day. I'm Marcus V. Brown, and I hope you've been inspired.